Hello, everybody, and I hope you're having a good Saturday today. For the people in Europe who already got most of Saturday gone. And I thought again to do, as it is the first Saturday of the month, it's my monthly chat with you. And as I did in the last few, hi Ellen, monthly chats, I'm going first to do a little bit of, you know, overseeing of what's been going on and where I am now. Hi Tina, hi Anna. And then I will answer some of the questions I got throughout the month. And then I will do some, I don't know, pep talk. Of course, all this order can be completely changed because who knows? You know how I tend to jump from one subject to another. Nevertheless, so where I am right now with the eyes, for people who do not follow me on Facebook or who didn't manage to read what I wrote on the community tab of the channel, I will have an appointment with my regular ophthalmologist, who is an absolutely awesome ophthalmologist. He's the director of the Eye Institute here in Oklahoma City. Because what happens, see, on this eye, when I was 19, I had transplant surgery. They put a whole new sclera, that's the white thing that is around the eye, because it was going so bad that by the age of 26 I would have been blind. So what's happening now, because when I had this eye done, I saw perfectly right away. But with this one, it's not perfect. I mean, it would be like a -1 prescription. But the thing that is, the doctor, the surgeon is fully willing to go in and change the prescription of the lens with another lens. But she wants to have an okay from the ophthalmologist because all the tests show that everything is normal and I should see perfectly, but I don't. So she wants to know what's going to happen with that. Then I'm going to see him on the 24th of September, and then I'm seeing her again on the 1st of November. And she hopes, hi Cecile, didn't see you in a while on the lives. And she hopes that maybe as time goes by, the eye might adapt. Well, let's hope so. In terms of pain, I still have to do an MRI of the shoulder and of the neck to see what's going on, why my left shoulder is hurting so bad. Otherwise, for some reason, I have no idea why. Maybe was the weather, I have no idea. But I've been in a little bit more pain than usual, and then I also had the last 3 days or so of super fatigue. And believe me, I'm trying my best, but sometimes it's like, that's it. Remember, I had an episode like that lasted several months back in late fall, winter of 2017. So I don't know. I hope it's just another fibromyalgia flare, because sometimes it starts with fatigue. Sometimes it's just fatigue, but I don't know. So yeah, I haven't been super active in the last few days, but I did as much as I could in the rest of the month. Hi Kimba. I am almost done with rearranging the house. I still have a few little things here and there. I'm still working on varnishing beads and on sanding and on everything, but I should be start posting soon the store stuff for sale. And when I'll do the distashes, I will definitely do it as usual in a live tutorial, and you can go, while I'm showing, you can go and buy them. Otherwise, I do have, as I said, since the end of March, I've been gathering all kinds of stuff that I ordered to test and to do all kinds of tutorials, but unfortunately I didn't have time, and then it was way too much of a mess to do anything. So I hope to start letting them out real soon. I am presently working on the sponsor tutorials because due to all this thing, I'm still a little bit behind with the one tutorial. And then I need to bring out the September ones. And this is why you haven't seen, because I didn't get into the website much, you haven't seen the new stuff in the store. Just be aware that from time to time I do have sales in the tutorials, and I always post them on Facebook. I maybe should try starting posting them on the community tab as well. But yeah, I usually post more day-to-day things on Facebook than on YouTube. Talking of which, you might in the near future see sometimes tutorials released first on Facebook and then on YouTube. But as soon as I'm getting caught up with the tutorials, I will start working a little bit on the website. I'll probably change the format because the format I have it in is an open platform software. In case you didn't know, yes, I do my own website. Hi, Chris. And it's very hard for me to find modality to do the software. Hi, Susan. The website is now to be more mobile friendly. So I think I might switch to WordPress because WordPress is very mobile friendly, and then hopefully I also won't have issues because at this point in time, the format that I'm using, people who have iDevices seem to have issues downloading videos. So hopefully switching to WordPress, it will make things much easier, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while, and I'll probably I'm already changing hosting because I don't like it. Their prices are going higher, but their speed is going lower. It's nothing that they actually declare, but it's noticeable. And I'll first do the new site on the new hosting, and then when everything is said and done, I'll just switch over. So it will be much easier to transit than having to close the website. Yes, I will pay an extra month with my current hosting, but it's going to be worth it. Hi, Soile. I didn't see you in a long time either. I hope everybody's okay. On the other hand, I wanted to talk a little bit about the people that were in the path of Hurricane Dorian. And it's been a lot of destruction. And, I'm not going to tell you because I see some people, they're like, oh yeah, take cover. You know it. You don't need me to come and tell you what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to do afterwards and stuff. I just wanted to make you aware of the fact that as after all disasters, and that includes Facebook, because by the time they managed to catch them, they managed to already do some damage. Be very careful when you want to donate for Hurricane Dorian's visits. Donate for victims, not visits. I don't know why I said that. Because there will be a lot of charlatans going out there with fake donations. Donate only to well-established, like the Red Cross or United or organizations that are really good when it comes to that. And also, whenever you decide to donate to a charity, there are some websites out there that monitor charities where you can find out how much actually of your money is used to help people. Because some charities, they use only about 10 cents out of $1 to actually help people. Everything goes for their salaries and their costs. So yeah, it's not a that good of a thing. Yeah, lots of scammers, lots of scammers. Um, but let me get through to the questions, because I'm sure that you're kind of tired of me saying, yeah, I'm going to finish fixing my house real soon. Well, I'm trying, and at least I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel finally. Um, so the questions. Number one, I get, and if need be, honestly, I'm gonna say it every time if I keep getting the questions, because some people didn't follow me from the beginning. Some people are just now there. So the main question is always, which clay do you prefer? And as always, my response to that is it depends. Because that is the truth. It depends what you're trying to do. And that is valid for me as well. Because if you want to do a mokumegane, you need a clay that would be very easily deformable, and it will not deform only in that spot. Because if you try to do a mokumegane with a clay like Premo or Cernit or Souffle, it's going to look very different than a clay like Pardo or Fimo Professional or Kato. If I want to do canes, and if I want to do geometrical canes with straight lines, I'm going to use Pardo or Fimo Professional or Kato. Hi Zoe. If I'm trying to do 4 gemstones that involves a lot of translucency, I'm going to use Pardo or Cernit translucent, because they are the best translucent. Hi Gayleen. If I'm trying to do something with mica shift, honestly, I'm going to use, recently came on the market, the Cernit metallics, because they are way better than anything else. But a lot of times I will... Hi Maritza. Not Maritza, Mariteza. Okay. Mariteza or Arlina? Because I don't know. It's confusing for me. It's early in the morning and I only had a couple cups of coffee. Thank you. So, yeah, it depends a lot what you're trying to do. And as I interrupted myself to respond to the chat. There are many times where I do my own mica pearls. I just use a translucent, a good translucent, and mica powder. And you can always do your own mica clays, pearlescence, just using translucent and mica powders. Zoe, I live in Tornado Alley, so I don't know how fortunate it is, how lucky it is. But then the other thing is, what varnish do you use? Again, it's a permanent question, and I'm going to say again, it depends. Because it depends a lot on, number one, I prefer to use sanding and buffing. Always. I think that it looks way better than any kind of varnishing. But when I need to varnish, when there is a surface treatment that needs to be sealed, that needs to be protected, then again, it depends in 2 ways. Number one, does that piece need to be rebaked? Because if it needs to be rebaked, most varnishes do not do well being baked. They will yellow, some might even start bubbling and stuff like that. So if it needs to be baked, it will be the good old scalpy glaze. If it doesn't need to be baked, then whatever else. The other thing is, hi Silver. The other thing is, do I want it to be shiny, or do I want it to be more muted and only seal it? Because some things look good shiny, but some things do not look good shiny. And generally speaking, depending on what you're working, you kind of need to try avoiding doing shiny, because as you know, polymer clay is plastic. That's what it is, plastic, PVC. And if you're not careful, because that's all you have to always strive to do, to not make it look like plastic. And unfortunately, a lot of times, if you put super varnish on it, you're going to make it look like cheapo plastic, and you don't want that. Um, but yeah, talking about that, so it's I mean, you can use these any and all times. You know, the good old Sculpies, you have them in satin and in glossy, they're fine. Um, and I will get to your question too, Silver. If you see that I'm going for a while and I don't say, it might be that I forgot and repeat it, please. Now, another thing is how do you get your varnish with no bubbles and with no streaks? And hi, Fran. I said before, the secret to applying any kind of varnish and that includes something like Pandora's Deep Shine. Most people think that a flat paintbrush is what they need. No. The best thing to use is, and in this one, you cannot be stingy. I mean, in this one, you'll have to invest to get a decent paintbrush. And I did put some in my Amazon influencer store. It was the cheapest good quality that I could find. They are around $14. But there are two things you need to take into consideration. Number one, it has to be real squirrel hair, not artificial, not nothing, real squirrel hair. Number two, it has to be a watercolor so-called mop paintbrush. The mop paintbrushes look exactly like that, like a mop, like this. And why is that? Because this type of paintbrushes, when you dip them in a liquid, because they are for watercolor, they would soak a lot in. So number one, you will not have to keep dipping and keep. Yes, you'll still have to dip a little bit, but not as much as others. Also, because they just soak the liquid in, there will be no air bubbles. And because you have that very fine squirrel hair, there would be no streaks. So, as I said, if you can budget and get cheap stuff in anything else, that's perfect and that's fine, that's awesome. But when it comes to the paintbrush that you use for varnishing, you need a good paintbrush. Okay, let me get Zoe's, not Zoe, Silver's question first. She asked me what pieces I like to work on most. I don't really have any favorite. It's whatever I feel inspired on at that point. I don't do art dolls anymore because I have these weird twitches in my hands, and after I had worked for 2 days on a doll and then my hand twitched and I threw it across the room. I'm gonna start working on stuff that even if I mess up a little piece, it's gonna be fixable. And this is why I bake and rebake a lot of times, because on some of us elderly ladies, we do have some issues using our hands. It's not just because I have, but it starts coming with age. And because polymer clay can be baked and rebaked a bazillion times without a problem, as long as you follow the temperature and all that. I prefer to bake, or at least do what's called a pre-bake of 10-15 minutes to settle in place certain elements, and then I do something else. Now, Zoe asked about how to clean the varnish off her brushes. Well, number one, you have to think about this, that you can use only varnishes that are water-based or alcohol-based. Remember, I have a tutorial out there how to make your own shellac varnish. but most of them will be water based. So your first thing, once you're done varnishing, put it in a jar or a glass of water. I have a special glass, just a cheapo glass I got from Goodwill, and I change them all the time. When they get too grimy and too hard to wash, I just change them. I throw that one and I get another one. Just you can keep it in that water for like half an hour until you're able to get around, but then just wash it really good with warm water and dish soap. And then do not forget that that is very, very important on that kind of brush. You have to reform it because it's going to go kind of like this. And you have, after you washed it and you kind of pat it dry with a paper towel, you have to go like this, pressing and gently turning to make it recover that mop shape, and then let it dry as it is, and you shouldn't have any more problems. Susan, I don't know, in my life I think I made quite a good, probably close to 1,000 pieces, because to give you just an example, at the last medieval fair I went to vend, I know I made 375 dragon eye pendants. So talking about, probably in my life I made over 500 dragon eye pendants because they were so successful. But then I started making them, I don't know, in 2009. So after that, there were a lot of the art dolls I loved making. I pretty much like anything I make, if I don't blunder. Because it happens, everybody can blunder. Okay, let me see. Another question. Give me just a second here. Oh, yeah. Are we going to have any more giveaways? Yes, of course we are. The next big giveaway will be when my YouTube channel gets to 15,000 subscribers, and I will start doing some giveaways on Facebook too. I am nearing 1,000 followers, and not followers, likes, because that's what I'm going to do, not on the followers, because I have more followers than likes, but whenever I get 1,000 likes. And I'll probably keep it on Facebook for every 1,000 likes for a while, and I'll do some giveaways there. The other one was, will it be an Imagine Winter? Yes. At this point, me and Trish from PolyClay Play, we do the Imagine twice a year. If you don't know what the Imagine is, it's a contest that Trish from PolyClayPlay.com and me have started back in, was it 2017 or 2018? I forgot. That is directly addressed to beginning artists. In order to qualify to enter this contest, you have to have at most 500 combined followers on all social platforms. And we have one summer edition and one winter edition. But you have to be very careful and follow the rules, because, for example, in the last edition we had in summer, we actually had only one person who actually followed the written rules. Other people didn't. So, and yeah, the prize is pretty nice. Usually there's $100 worth of supplies, then maybe some more, and then $25 gift certificate, one for PolyClay Play, one for me. And yes, we do have a second and third prize. Mod clay. I don't think I mentioned mod clay. And I never did tutorials on art dolls, so I don't know what what you're saying. Because I'm not able practically to sculpt much and do a live or a tutorial. So mod, I don't know. Maybe you're thinking of modeling clay and never think about modeling clay. Oh yeah, and before I forget about which clay you choose, never work with Sculpey 3. That is a clay for kids. Hi Michael. Hi Laus Diandel. I love that name. Yes, I do have some Halloween pieces, and yes, I'm going to be working on doing the last canes for the Sugar Skull because I wasn't able to finish it last year because all kinds of stuff happened. First, I didn't realize that the white clay that I had was that weird, soft, stretchy thing that was not good for canes, and then I ordered another, and by the time it got here, Whisper had one of those near death weeks, and then something happened to me. I don't know, it was anyway. By the time everything was over, it was way too past Halloween for me to actually finish it, and I said I'm gonna just finish it next year. Oh, you talk about the molds. I still didn't say mod clay. I don't know what you heard, mod clay. Those are molds. You made them with molds. They are not art dolls. It's true that the mold itself is called art dolls, but that's not an art doll. An art doll is something that you sculpt from beginning to the end. You don't use molds, you don't use, and it has to be absolutely unique. Hi Judy. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes tablets can go crazy. But yeah, talking about that, another question: are you going to make any more gemstones? Because you didn't post any in a while. Well, yeah, but I need to get to them. Of course, I didn't post any in a while because I couldn't see. And yes, I can see now to edit and to everything, but as I said, it takes me a little while to catch up on everything. Yes, one of the first next tutorials will be with the cane with pink. That was Premo. That was Premo clay. You just put a backing on it. It doesn't really. I said at the beginning of it, Zoe, and you can watch it again. I'm not going to repeat it for everybody, but I said exactly what's going on with my eyes at the beginning of the live. Oh, thank you. Yes, the thumbs up are a really good thing, and the thumbs up at the under the video, not in the chat. Okay, so as I said, what's going to happen next? There will be some resin, and this is part of a question that I got. Are you going to do more resin? Yes, I will be doing more resin, and I actually got everything I need to show you the difference between certain brands of resin, including certain brands of UV resin that some I like better than others. My most favorite UV resin is the Chinese one. And the other question about resin that I keep getting all the time: how do you manage to work with your UV resin? Because mine is so thick and so hard to put on. Well, your excuse me, your UV resin gets all thick if you work with it in daylight. It is UV resin. It gets cured by daylight, by sunlight. So if you try to work with resin in a room that has big windows with no blinds, just the daylight there is going to start gently, slowly curing your resin. So that's why it gets thicker. When working with the UV resin, the best thing is to have really, if you don't work in the evening, of course, really good blinds, and get one of the old style lamps, enough to give you enough light to work on it, but not the the day like LED lights and stuff, because those do have UV. You can look for a no UV light, but it's going to be very hard, because most of the moment you put UV light lamp, it doesn't matter, it's got a no in the front, you're still going to get thousands and thousands of results that are UV light lamps, not no UV light lamps. And it's the same for light bulbs. So yeah, that is very, very important when you work with UV resin. The other thing about UV resin, and I got the question, can you put inclusions in UV resin, and can you put colors in UV resin? Yes, but you have to be very careful. And in some of the tutorials I'm going to make, I'll show you a few things that you can do, but to sum it up, you have to be very careful about what you put there. Number one is color. You can only put a very little, and you would need, because someone was, can I color my resin with alcohol inks? It depends on the alcohol ink. Some inks have a more opaque pigment, and some have a more, yeah, that was not good, Kimba. And yes, Anna, it's good to store your UV resin in at dark. So as I was saying, with the coloring, you have to make sure that you use a pigment that is translucent, not opaque. Generally speaking, one of the most opaque pigments is white, but that is valid in a lot of things. But for example, if you want to use ink, I personally would go more with the Dr. Phil ink or Bombay ink, because those are very translucent. You can even use acrylic inks as long as they have a translucent pigment. And the same goes for the inclusions. The inclusions have to be translucent. And why is that? Because, as I said, UV resin cures with light. If the light cannot go through, it's not going to cure. It is true that you can do some tricks, and I will show you in the tutorials, that you can partially cure enough to take it out of the mold and turn it on the other side, so it can be cured through from both sides, and then it will go right. Yes, incandescent bulb, but you cannot find them that easily anymore, at least not here in the US. But yeah, use an incandescent bulb and cover your windows if you want to work with that. A sunlight work for what, Tina? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And talking about lamps, because another question was, what kind of lamp should I get? A UV lamp should I get? There are two kinds, and they are all for fingernails. And there are two kinds, with the lower wattage and with a higher wattage. And if you get with a lower wattage, you'll have to go like 3 series of 3 minutes each. If you get a higher wattage, you can go only like 99 seconds and it will be fine. But because of those properties, there are things that you cannot do in UV resin. You need to use the regular casting resin. And I know that all of us want to have it faster, but I can tell you that for the most part, you cannot achieve such beautiful effects in UV resin exactly because of that. So working with a regular casting resin, even if it means between 24 and 48 hours for it to cure, it's way more rewarding and satisfying. It's absolutely fabulous. Yeah, Tina, if you were asking if sunlight would cure UV resin, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because if you work in daylight, the daylight is from the sun. So if you put it out in the sun, yes, it will cure, and it will cure practically like a fast high wattage lamp if you have a sunny day, and depends on which area. But I can tell you, here in Oklahoma, if it's sunny outside, my stuff will be cured in a minute. No problem about that, because that's what I was using before I got a UV lamp. Then let me see what waxes. For me personally, I prefer the Art Alchemy waxes of all kinds. The metallic, the antique brilliance, the opal magic, I like them all. So what else are we going to do? Yes, we are going to do some journals. I already started Game of Thrones chest of eggs. I have 2 eggs done. And not only for that, but I also found a small music box with the Game of Thrones theme that I intend to put in the chest, so that it will be a beautiful, and I'm going to try to finish that way before Christmas. So the ones of you who want to make that as a Christmas present will have enough time to do it. And yes, there will be, I don't want to spoil the surprises, and also, that I don't want someone who watches my lives like a hawk to get the ideas. But yeah, we can look on that a lot of times. Now, when it comes to the pep talk, I wanted to talk a little bit about. Well, Tina, I don't know what I'm talking about, because I was trying to figure out what you were talking about. So get your question right, and then I'll be knowing what I'm talking about, and then you'll be knowing what I'm talking about. Phone cover, yeah. See, the thing is with the phone cover is that I'm trying to figure out a way to have a bake-in blank for it, because you cannot use the phone. I'm trying to figure out some solutions for that, but I thought about this, and I'm going to get to the to the Goodwill store to grab a few old phones for a few bucks, and be able to have them as models and sizes. But yeah, that's my biggest thing. So what I wanted to talk to you about when it comes to pep talk is depression and loneliness. And what sparked this was, I don't know if you saw the link that I had on Facebook about whose post to her sponsors, who was actually forwarded to me by several of her sponsors, who were absolutely appalled by what she's doing. But yeah, referring to what she's talking about, and yes, I will be making a video real soon, but it will be only viewable on my website. So it's the idea of depression and loneliness. I do get a lot of messages about that. Fortunately, most of these messages are from people, and they're not just women. There are also men who are messaging me about that. How do you manage to go with everything that you have and not get depressed? And you're all by yourself, don't you get lonely? because I'm all by myself and I'm feel so alone all the time. Well, number one, when it comes to the depression thing, I think I talked about this before. I got depressed twice in my life. The first time I was a stupid kid in college. I was about 20 years old. And I started reading philosophy. And I mean reading it heavily. Okay. And I got into that existentialist funk, with... What do you want? Do you need to go outside? I think he needs to go outside, and I'm gonna go let him, because, if I don't, we might have an accident. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Sorry for that, but he's old and all that. So, hi Janice. So that was because I had gotten into that existentialism funk when you're like, why does the universe exist? Why do we exist? What's the reason for all this? And yeah, I got out of it relatively quick after, I think it was about 2 weeks. I was like, I realized that nobody's going to ever answer me that. And if I'm going to keep thinking about that, it would be like I'm not going to enjoy anything in my life. And, so I just put it aside in a corner, close the door on it, and I'm not thinking about it anymore. And the second time was when this chronic pain started. I don't know how it is where you are, but in my state, when you get chronic pain, doesn't matter what causes, they will give you some pain management, but at one point, because your general practitioner can only prescribe you so much pain management medication. And then you get referred and you get in a contract with a pain management clinic, and they take care of everything. But before you get there, you need to do counseling. And, I went to 2 sessions of counseling, and at the second session, I figured out that I was counseling my counselor, because she wanted to know what are my secrets for being, and, and then I told her, I'm going to make the effort of coming here while I'm all in pain. Whenever you'll be able to answer my question, how is counseling going to fix my spine? And then I will see a reason for it and striving to do the counseling. Until then, sorry, I'm not going to put any extra effort and go through any extra pain to do something that's useless. And then they referred me. But yes, that's when I got depressed, because I'm really good with pain. And when it comes to acute pain, but the acute pain, it's going to be over, while the chronic pain is just there with you, 24/7, gnawing on you all the time. Imagine how you would feel if you'd have a headache that would never go away. How nice you would be to people, how good you'd be able to live your life. Imagine all that. So yeah, that was the second time in my life when I got depressed. But otherwise, generally working for depression, what always works for depression is to do something useful. Either useful for the community or useful for your heart. And crafting or nurturing is part of it. And I talked about this quite a few times before. Making something, growing something. If you can have a garden, if you can work, go volunteer at a local animal shelter or people shelter, something like that. Hold on, whisper once inside. Yes, I'm coming. Okay, so, but here I'm not talking about, let's be very clear here. I'm not talking about depressions that are the result of a chemical imbalance in the brain. Because those ones, no matter what you do, you're not going to get rid of them unless you do a treatment for them. I'm talking about depression brought by various life events. Also, when we are talking about depression brought by losing a loved one or going through a divorce, or honestly, from experience, I'm going to tell you that I found out that for at least a month or two, nothing works. So just go ahead and grieve. Get it out of your system. And then once you start feeling a little bit better, then start finding something that would spark your interest. And I know it's very hard when you're saying, well, but yeah, depression means that you're not interested in anything. Make a little bit of effort and start doing something, even if you don't feel an interest for it. Just start doing something. And as you're doing, and as your sense of purpose, that you have a purpose, and your sense of fulfillment will start happening, then you'll be able to slowly find exactly what's the best thing for you. Thank you, Lily. Now, going to the alone and lonely. Unfortunately, here, what can I say? It takes a specific state of mind to not mind, a specific type of character, if you want, to not mind living alone. I, for example, love living alone. It was a real challenge for me when I got married to adapt with living with someone. When I was a teen and a young adult, I didn't know how to move faster out of my parents' house just to be by myself. What can I say? I said that to a friend and she laughed and said, I guess I'm never getting bored. I'm such an interesting person that I never get bored with myself, if that makes any sense. I don't have children. I will be very honest with you. Number one, I thought that I don't really have the best genetic makeup. I don't like to curse somebody to have bad eyesight for the rest of their life. Number two, there's plenty of people on earth. And number three, I'm sorry, I do not like children. There are people who like children, people who don't like children. That's it. The same as there are people who like people and people who don't like people. It's nothing you can do about it, So, no, I don't miss that. I don't miss, but about friends, yes, I do go out. I still have friends who come, and because now I cannot move so fast. But for the people who do have problems being alone, let me tell you something. We live in 2019. If you're watching my video, that means that you either have a computer or you have a phone. There are apps that now all over the place that will allow you to video chat to people. Yeah, I cannot get out of the house. I love to interact with people. But I video chat a lot, especially because most of the time my hands would be busy, and it's easier for me to talk than to type, even if I'm a very fast typist. But I'd rather do something, So in this day and age, there's no excuse for not interacting with people. Yes, and I do too have children, just not human. I love animals, and I'm one of those weird people that I think the only living beings I don't like would be like cockroaches and stuff, but I like a lot of the insects, and I mean, I like snakes. I like spiders. I actually bring inside from outside from the garden, I bring inside jumping spiders and let them go on the ceiling because I don't like mosquitoes. I mean, mosquitoes I don't like because they bite me, not but the mosquito itself, I think it's a very interesting creature. um so in this regard, being alone doesn't say it. Being lonely says it. So, as I said, in this day and age, you have so many possibilities of interacting with people that you're lonely by choice, just because you don't want to go out and interact. Especially considering that, okay, we have a big polymer clay artist community. I think there are over 2,000 groups only on Facebook. It is impossible not to find someone that you would click for and have a permanent body to chat with. So, because we live in this blessed age of technology, you can actually interact with people now without leaving the house. Hold on, I need to turn the thermostat down a little bit. Because of the computer, it can get hot in here sometimes. It's just this giant computer with liquid cooling and a lot of fans, so it throws out a lot of heat. So you have all kinds of opportunities to interact with people and find a significant relationship. And yeah, I'm not talking about romantic relationship. I'm talking about friendship. Friendship is very important, and remember that humans are social animals, and a lot of times when most of the pretty much all the time whenever you'd have a human and separate that human from society, they would start having really big mental issues. So people need to connect, and as I said, in this day and age, it's so easy to find somebody you can connect to. And yeah, but we don't see face to face. How can you be friends with some? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. In this day and time, you can. I've made friends that I've never seen. I never met in person. And I have friendships that endured like this. I have a very, very good friend who lives in Delaware. And I even forgot when we became friends. I think might have been somewhere around 2003, 2004, something like that. I don't know. I don't even remember exactly how we became friends, but we are still good friends. We even talk on the phone quite often. It's very, very easy to find friendship nowadays because of the technology we have. And I can tell you a lot of times, it's like you're practically visiting with somebody because you can do your own stuff. You can drink coffee, both of you can talk. And especially now, most of the video chats, they do have a feature of watch together. You can watch the same video, you can read the same thing. So it is actual interaction, except that there's no face to face. That's actual interaction. So try that if you have feelings of being lonely. The other thing is animals. The animals will always have a huge contribution on your well-being, and that is a known fact. And that is because having a pet actually fulfills both the things. One is the nurturing, taking care of something, and the second is interaction. So that is why having a pet is so good for your mental well-being. I don't know if you have any other questions about that. Just let me know. And as I said, and one more thing, being alone but not lonely, actually, it's a skill that you can achieve, that you can learn for yourself. It just requires a little bit of paradigm shift in your brain. That is true, Michael. That is really, really true. But as I was saying, not to interrupt my thing, and then I'll come back to what Michael is saying. Learning, you can learn coping mechanisms, and all it takes is your willingness to change. Because no matter how much willing you can find other people, and that is a blessing when you find people willing to help you, but no matter how much other people are willing to help you, they won't be able to help you if you don't want to help yourself. That is something really, really important. As I said, you need to have that little paradigm shift in your thinking, saying at one point, okay, this was it. This happened until now, and it doesn't make me happy. So I'm going to change it until it makes me happy. Until I'll figure out what needs to be changed and to become happy. And that is really, really the case, Chris. Yes, distance no longer plays a role for friendships. And the other thing that somebody told me, oh yeah, but with friends you have to go through thick and thin. And who says you don't do that with online friends? Because number one, what do you look for in a friend? Most and foremost, you look for in a friend, if you're really looking for a friendship, not to, oh, that person goes out and party more, so I'll have a party buddy. That's not friendship, that's party buddy. But what you look more for in a friend, when you want to have a friend, you want to have somebody who gives you moral support. You don't need physical presence for moral support. You can get that over the phone, you can get that through audio chat, you can get that through video chat. So yeah, yes, you're right, Judy, you have to like yourself. That is very important. And then talking about, what about physical help? Well, you can still do a lot of stuff even if you're so far apart. To give you an example, as I have announced on Facebook, I didn't have time to announce it here. There was a wonderful lady among my subscribers with whom I became quite good friends, Deborah Rice, and unfortunately, back in December, she was diagnosed with glioblastoma, and she had the worst kind, the kind that doesn't respond to treatment and goes very fast. And she died on the 19th of August. And could we help each other? Yes. For example, when it first started manifesting with her, she would fall on the ground and she couldn't get up, but she didn't know how she got there, and just couldn't get herself off the floor. And one time when I called her, she was on the floor near her computer desk, but she was able to grab the mouse and answer me. And I was able to call the management of the apartment she was living in and to call the 911 for her to get somebody there. So I wasn't physically there, but I was still able to help, And then I called one of her local friends to go and help her. So you don't have to necessarily be physically there. Yeah, you cannot make each other's coffee, help each other clean, but you can actually help each other's clean. You can just put a little bit of money aside and book for your friend a Merry Maid's day of cleaning the house, or get something for them delivery. It's like going for lunch and I pay, something like that. I mean, the virtual reality has made human interaction, even if everybody complains, oh, you don't go outside, you don't interact. No, I think that we interact with people way more than we did before the internet. The same as I hear people complaining, oh, these millennials and Z generation, the kids nowadays, they don't interact, they don't socialize. Do you realize that they socialize way more than they did when you were a child? Because when you were a child, you were going out in the street and play ball or play with your dolls or something, and you had your little circle of friends. I don't know, 4 friends, 10 friends, 10, depending on the neighborhood you were in. And that was pretty much who you were interacting with. And then when you're going to school, people in your school. But nowadays, they interact with thousands of people. They do more socializing than you did when you were a kid. And look at this, it starts showing. It starts showing because you have kids nowadays, they are 3 or 4 years old, and they can use a tablet. And then you have people who are over 60 who don't understand how to use it. It's just human evolution. And yes, we might evolve where we get just living separately in our own cells. And okay, and I'm going to ask you, so what exactly is wrong with that? You can go, if the planet gets too polluted, or if you have a lot of, I'm dreaming about, because this is something that's for the future. And remember, I said from the start, I'm a nerd. For example, one of my favorite things is quantum physics. Okay. But for the future, it is forecasted to happen fairly soon, would be complete virtual reality. And that would be with electrodes that would make you, not just with the helmet, that would make you actually feel and taste and smell and all that. So what would be wrong for people like me and a lot of my friends who are practically stuck in the house to be able to go swim in the Bahamas? Well, not now after the hurricane, poor people, but as an idea. I personally, but as I said, probably because I'm a nerd, I see absolutely no problem with that. Nowadays you can, oh my God, I loved grandma's recipe of this, but I don't know how to make it anymore. And you call grandma on Facebook, grandma, I need to make your pancakes, show me how. And you have your phone in your kitchen and the grandma has her phone in her kitchen, and you both make pancakes. True, as I said, you cannot touch each other, but still it is more socializing than ever before. And yes, you're right, Michael. And yes, ladies, Deborah was an absolutely wonderful, wonderful lady. She had a huge heart, and she was also always so kind and so nice to everybody. It was, it was so, so, so heartbreaking when she got brain cancer. But yeah, you're right, Alina. That is how it happens nowadays. Um, Let me check again in the questions to see if I forgot anything. Yeah, I guess people saw me using all kinds of app filters on Facebook, and they're like, do you use eye enlargement when you do videos of yourself? No, this is how big my eyes are. Actually, I don't use any kind of filter when I do this. You just couldn't see it before because I had distance eyeglasses, and distance eyeglasses make things small, and that's why my eyes didn't look this big before. Um, so this would be pretty much it. I'm looking forward to finish stuff, and I probably have maybe half a day to work, because remember, when I work I have to do something for 10-15 minutes and then rest, and then do it again and then rest. And talking of which, because I did rant a little bit on Facebook, but because I had some nasty, the passive aggressive things that are like, oh yeah, I understand, and sympathize with you because you have all these problems, but can't you work faster? um, there's a reason I don't work. I don't go out to have a job and work, because I am disabled. I am actually real deal disabled. And I don't want to offend anyone, but you know that there are a lot of people out there who are disabled. No, I am actually disabled. So that means a board of doctors decided that my health doesn't allow me to work. And everything I'm doing requires a lot of effort. I keep apologizing for it, but I'm doing my best, so yes, I do use a motor with a pasta machine. I have a Makins and I have an Atlas. And I put a whole bunch of pasta machines in the Amazon influencer store for all budgets. But I'm going to be very honest with you. I wouldn't spend money on the Ovento, because I never had an Ovento. I just found them on Amazon and they were cheaper than a Makins. But if you cannot buy both at a time, I would suggest buy first the machine and then buy the motors. If you have issues with your hands, it will be a blessing to get a pasta machine for your clay work. And also to get a motor for your pasta machine for clay work. So yeah, this would be it. Now remember that you can always send me questions on Kalyana Facebook page. I do not, most of the time I do not answer right away. I have a window between like 4 and 6 in the afternoon when I answer, because you have to understand I cannot interrupt what I'm doing all the time to answer. I'm not trying to give myself any kind of importance, but sometimes it's hard to focus, I was a wonderful multitasker before I had chemo. Chemo messed up. Now if I'm able to do one thing from the beginning to the end without interruption, without getting what the heck was I was doing here, or if I manage to do two things at the same time, it is fabulous. But just make sure that you understand that I will answer. It might not be right away, or you can answer me questions through my website. I have a contact me and it comes straight in my email. Hi Lila, you just missed it. I'm getting ready to wrap things up and go work. Start working on stuff. Oh, and one more thing. I'm going to post some other solutions I found for these for these for these there's one place that has them on Google Shop, and there are some other. I'm still waiting for one more mold to come in the mail. I ordered it from Amazon. I presented the last time. These molds don't work, they are crap. And I will post the link in the dolls pendants. Yeah, but I'm not talking about those kind of interactions, Marie. I'm talking about people that you can establish a good friendship, because I we are going to talk about that. Why don't I make a note and talk about the um, how to deal with mean people and with trolls, and what is a troll. Let's talk about it next time. Okay? So, as I said, if you have any other questions, just you can put it in the comments once the video is up, because it needs like 5 minutes to process. Or you can message me on the Kalyana in Facebook, or you through the website you can email me. Okay, I'm sure you will love it, Chris. Okay, I'll see you all tomorrow, actually, for the regular Sunday live. All right, I'm not sure yet what we are going to do, because it depends if I finish making something. If not, we'll do another impromptu with something. I don't know, flower cane. Flower canes are awesome. Or, oh, a fall cane. Why don't we do a fall leaf cane? And then we can get back to what was scheduled. Okay, thank you, Marie. Thank you, everybody. I love you all, and I'll see you all tomorrow at noon, 12:30 Central Time. Have a wonderful weekend.